Ready?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of La Vida Baseball Live. I'm Julie Alexandria with Jennifer Mercedes and Ozzie Guillen Jr. Happy Monday. Happy August. It's August 3rd, you guys. We're in the midst of summer, yet it feels like baseball, and it has really just started, but there's plenty to talk about. We're going to be talking about Pujols. We're going to be talking about Aaron Judge. We're going to be talking about Cespedes. We're going to be talking about the latest with the Cardinals, the Marlins, postponed games. And should baseball 2020 even continue? That brings us to our poll of the day. What do you guys think? Has too much transpired and just 10 games have been played? And have we already gone off the deep end when it comes to the 2020 season? What do you guys think?
I think for now, yes, because it seems like it's contained to pretty much one team, which is the Marlins, as far as the outbreak is concerned. And I think this week will be telling when it comes to baseball.
I think it's like when your mom catches you in curfew, past curfew, where you're an adult and you just got caught cheating and you say you won't do it again, and then you get caught cheating again, then usually means you're probably going to get divorced. Major League Baseball right now is sending a message to all the players out there of how dangerous this transmits. I know that people are talking about that it's not deadly, people like myself, but they need to understand that with the protocols that they had in place right now, positive test means that you don't play, okay? Mm-hmm. So by the rules of the tournament, that affects your team, okay? So regardless if you believe that this is going to kill you or end your career, whatever it is that you think, it doesn't matter. This becomes a form of PED. Take COVID-19 as a PED of this season. You get COVID-19, you're out for 2 weeks. You need to be quarantined. Your team's, out of the tournament. So they need to approach it that way, not as a disease. Meaning the players need to know that if they test positive, they're not going to be able to play. I think players were lacking on it, saying, "Oh, it's not a big deal because I'll survive COVID." But they've realized that they've suspended games because of players. That's never happened in the past before. So I really think they need to go there and say, "Hey, this is like a form of PD, like a form of like you being suspended if you don't believe in the medical terms." And that's the only way the league will keep going, because at one point you need to start policing yourselves, okay? And you don't want to be the player that infects your team and takes them out of the pennant race, okay? Or you don't want to be the team that is doing such a bad job that you guys have opting out after they're already opting in. So I think that if you remove the if you believe in the science, if you believe if this is a disease or not, just play by like the rules of the tournament. This is a new PED. You test positive, you're gone for 2 weeks. That's a huge part of the season. So I think that the teams that are really, really serious about playing this season and serious about competing, they're the ones that are doing the better job of maintaining social distancing and making sure the protocols in place. So I think if the teams start taking it more serious, moving forward, there will be a season. If teams start acting like this doesn't matter, then we're either going to have no season because it's going to be canceled, or we're going to have a season with minor league players, and that's just the reality, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think the words that Manfred used in his statement sounded very parental, almost like he was scolding the players, saying, "Guys, get it together. Adhere to the protocol or we're going to end this thing." It's like, play nice. Otherwise, you have to get out of the sandbox. And I think
you don't need bubbles. You don't need a bubble.
You
make your own bubble.
Basically, if you don't listen, you're going to your room.
Yeah, I'm saying though, like you don't need a bubble. Like I love the whole bubble because it's kind of cool, but in reality, you don't need a bubble. Okay, you're an athlete, you're a professional. You know the risk that is running there from not only the medical side, but also the competition side, because you're putting other people at risk. So that's why they're telling you to removing you, because you're putting even if everybody on your team is okay with everybody getting COVID, other teams are not. So that's why it's a big deal, because for your team, it's no big deal, but you're not playing just with your team. You're putting, umpires and other players at risk. So that's why you need to play nice, because this is why they had agreed to play like, okay, we're going to play under one safety rule and everyone who plays with this. Because if not, a lot of more other guys would have opted out. And I think in the next week, if we don't see things changing, we'll see guys opting out and saying, okay, I was okay playing with the other set of rules, but this new set of like people doing whatever they want, I'm out. It's not worth it to me.
Right. And as in baseball, as in life, if you protect yourself and you adhere by the rules, you protect the rest of your team, because it's really not about you. There's no I in team, just like wear a mask to the supermarket and on the airplane. And moving on, of course, there are no fans that are allowed in the stands here, but one a couple of games that would have been really fun for Yankees fans to enjoy would have been one of the 5 that Aaron Judge has hit home runs in 5 consecutive games. This guy's on fire, and I feel like it's contagious because the Yankees are hitting. Giancarlo Stanton is having a fantastic start to the 2020 season as well. But Aaron Judge have a 5-game set there. What's going on?
He's on fire. He came ready to play. They got ready better than other teams, and their offense is rolling on all cylinders. Also, their team's healthy. They have everybody on the field, meaning that there is, less pressure on the way they pitch to him, and he's taking advantage of it. Having Stanton, I don't care what anybody says, he's still a big threat, and having him, in the on-deck circle, waiting to hit with Judge there, you pitch to him. But I think it's fun. I feel bad for the fans because obviously this is an exciting time. But I think it's also helping, it might be helping some guys. It's just, you're out there just relaxed and just going about it. Also, you're playing in New York in April is horrendous. Okay. Playing in New York is horrendous, playing in the Midwest. And Yankees, the Yankee players have to deal with really bad weather early in the season. It's beautiful outside and he's ready to go. So I think that's helped him a lot as well.
All right. We have a video too. Watch this.
To wear down.
Oh my goodness! Aaron Judge has done it again! Homers in 5 straight! Santa Maria!
All rise for the Judge. I mean, I think it's great, and it's always great to see great Yankee games against the Boston Red Sox because we all know that history. And it was really cool to see on Twitter, the fans, and a lot of people kind of like, man, we wish that there were fans there for this particular game because it was such a back and forth game. It was kind of crazy. And we see all of the guys really doing really well. I mean, Gio Urshela, also like the defense. It was all around a great game to watch. Another great person to watch and great player to watch is Mr. Albert Pujols La Máquina, who is now 2 home runs shy of matching Willie Mays. So that's really, really, really good for him.
For baseball, not just for him. I think that right now we're taking it for granted. I think that if you own MLB package or you have a chance to see Albert Pujols every time he steps into the plate, you're watching history. Okay, this guy is in a category all by himself. I think maybe Miguel Cabrera, but Pujols every little time he takes a walk. I hate to be the social media guy for the Angels. Every time he does something, he passes someone. So it's a big deal. It's he enters in a club where for being a Latino player, there is no one else there. And, believe it or not, people think it's not a big deal. Albert has never had any links to PEDs. He never tested positive. There's never been a cloud over his name. So for him to be able to do it, he might go down as the greatest Latino player of all time, of my era for sure. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and he's been able to do it, and it's good for him. I can only imagine what he's feeling like when he hits that home run. Like, man, I just tied Willie Mays. Like, that's in the perspective of as a baseball fan and someone that loves the game so much. That's like, it's shocking. Like, that's like, whoa. And he plays with the best player in baseball. Yet when you look at the list of where Albert is and where Mike is and how much Mike has to go to catch Albert, so many things have to go right for him. It's just, I think that he's been blessed, and we've been blessed to have someone like him, and that he's still doing it. It's just amazing.
Agreed.
Absolutely. And the fact that he's healthy, he's had 2 past off seasons where, he was subject of injury. So the fact that he's come back, I think also having Joe Maddon, a veteran manager who has taken over there and taken the reins in Anaheim, I think there's a mutual respect there for Albert Pujols. So one of the big questions during the offseason was how Maddon was going to manage his playing time. But obviously he has sort of, I think, given him that vote of confidence. So that's really nice to see. And hopefully the guys are buying in. Okay. Moving on.
We've got video. We have
the video. Oh, that's right. Yes. Let's check out the video of Albert.
Albert skies one high and deep to left field. That's a no-doubter. Big fly for Albert Pujols. A grand slam at his 4-2 Halos. That'll move you up on the RBI list quickly. Just cutting that deficit from 10 to 6 with one swing of the bat for the machine. Second home run now, 5 RBI.
Oh, always good to see him doing so well. Now, here's a stat for you because baseball, as you know, there's a stat for everything. So here's a fun stat. According to Ilias, this is the first time in any major league team has had 4 Cuban-born players in each of the top 4 slots in the starting lineup, barring order in one game for the White Sox. So this is, Ozzie, can you speak to this and how groundbreaking this is?
Well, it is because of obviously the history of Cuban players, I need to say this, Cuban-born players, not descendants of Cuban family members, born in Cuba, and how young they are. And it's a new wave of players, the new guys that we didn't get to see in the Olympics because they came over very young, which is a great thing because, you don't want to see guys coming so late. But it shows you that Cuba, the still the domination that they have in baseball, and it's got to be, you got to be lucky, number one, to be on the same team, and then to your manager to think that you guys are good enough to hit in the same order, And I think that he wasn't doing it. He was just, those are the guys that are supposed to be there, and right now I think that 2 of the top players in baseball with Luis Robert in the 60-game season and Yoan Moncada, they're super talented and they're super young, and it's fortunate. It's really cool. It's really cool to see that the Cubans are there, cementing the legacy that they had so early in the game of baseball and now, reflourishing with such great talent.
Yeah, and to see the range in age, right? Because you go from Jose Abreu to Luis Robert, and to see that, like you said, Ozzie, Cuba still is a country that produces really, really good talent. And we see it there with the Chicago White Sox.
Absolutely. Well, as we talk about this 2020 pandemic-ridden season, one of the scariest things about COVID-19 is the fact that we don't know what we don't know. And one of the lasting effects that they have now found with survivors or people who have survived and come out and battled COVID-19 is the fact that there is deterioration to the heart tissue and that heart tissue is compromised. And this specifically, I'm talking about Eduardo Rodriguez, who is now out for the season dealing with a heart condition that has been linked to COVID-19. So this is precautionary. Of course, he is, well, I'm not his doctor and I'm not treating him, but apparently this is the right decision that his doctors and medical professionals had made for him. But a very, this is one of those things that, I don't know, for me personally, it scares me. It scares me to see this. I feel terrible for the guy that he has to opt out now for the season for his own protection and his own good. But if this is a glimpse of what's to come, it's rather grim.
And yeah, and for me, this is the part that has always been like, can we please get over the fact that, yes, maybe it's only 1% deadly, but this has really serious side effects. And even the numbers when you're talking about death, there's still people who are dying. Like, I don't care. Those are still people's family members. And so, like, that's one point. But then this is another point where there are still very serious side effects that can happen to very young people, young and healthy people. This is an elite athlete who now has to take time off due to a side effect of COVID-19. He has myocarditis, which is a enlarged heart. And in his case, they said, is very mild, but they still have to watch it because when you're talking about an enlarged heart, there's several things that can happen when you're exercising, working out. You can have a heart attack. So there's several things that you have to watch out for. So, it's unfortunate that this is the thing that has to happen, but hopefully he's, recovers 100% and we'll see him on the field next year. But I also hope that this doesn't happen to other players. I hope that players see this, and if it didn't take 150 deaths or 150 plus thousand deaths in the United States to make you guys wake up, hopefully this will be, because this could be career ending at some point to some guys.
I think that is the right thing to shut him down. One of the things that, especially with a pitcher, okay, and he is a big part of their future, you catch COVID, okay, you're going through the process, you're not feeling good. Then afterwards, you start having some effects. In this case, his heart. For him to get back to pitching, to get to where he needs to be pitching wise, okay, he won't be able to do it with this condition. If he's running and he's getting tired. So because of him being sick, and this is why a 60-game season, it's not worth it for him coming back because he will injure himself. Okay. So for any pitcher that's out there right now, and that's why I think that the team that's going to win is the team with the most depth, is you catch COVID in the middle of the season and you go 2 weeks without throwing because it really gets you. And then you're having side effects for the third week. So your recovery time is slowed down. By the time that you're coming back, you might be in the playoff run. So then it becomes a decision of, do I push my arm to the limit of me getting injured for the year? And that's why I think some of the people don't realize how important it is to not cancel games and let guys sit out 2, 3, 4 days and let guys that do have the COVID is how quickly are you going to recover? Because there are people that are going to recover just like in any disease, 2 days. And then there's guys that are going to be way longer. He falls in that category. I'm glad that I know that they're going to do the best job to take care of him in this condition. But yeah, it's just something that they need to be careful with because, again, this is something that happened after COVID, meaning because of COVID, but he's not recovering from it. Hasn't felt well, hasn't been able to perform the tests the way that it is. And I know from fact with teams, even if you're telling your team, I feel amazing. Okay. And this guy's not passing the stress test, the heart test, they're keeping him on the side and saying, hey man, you can't go until we know that you're 100%. And obviously this is the best decision for him and his family and for his career, I think.
Yeah, for sure. We want to keep the guys safe. We want to keep the guys safe, and we also want to keep them out of the clubs. Let's talk about the Marlins for a minute. And not that I'm trying to put these guys on blast, but let's just get something straight and get something out there because we all know, y'all laughing. Listen, because we've all been there. Look, when you work hard, you play hard. These athletes put everything out on the field. They work out. They're using themselves. There's nothing wrong with guys wanting to kick back and enjoy themselves. But unfortunately, during the time of COVID-19 and this crazy 2020 season, guys, now is not the time. There's a big question mark. Why do all these Marlins players, 18 to be exact players with 2 coaches, that brings the total to 20 people on the 20 guys on this team have COVID. They tested positive. How does this happen? Well, apparently some guys aren't following protocol. So again, I don't want to put these guys on blast, but I want to put them on blast because I think it's ridiculous that allegedly they went out and they partied and they broke protocol, which is why you're seeing Commissioner Manfred come out with these statements that seem like he's scolding these guys without scolding them in person. And, I just think, what can you do? How much control does Derek Jeter have on these guys? And
none.
And what's the next step?
Apparently none whatsoever.
Yeah,
somebody on Twitter was like, can they just give him ankle bracelets?
No, they can. Derek Jeter releases somebody and says, go home. Then they'll pay attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Don Mattingly, that's on you too. It's the respect. It's what you have and what you come out and say. Again, people think that there's 20 people that went on a team bus and went to this party. No, it was probably 4 or 5 guys. When they came back, if there's 3 guys that have it, it's easier to multiply. So I think the fact that they were at a club, to me, it's irrelevant because this is the part. Not allegedly, but it could have been the club. It could have been a restaurant. It could have been the mall. It could have been a movie. It could have been the rules when they came to play. Correct. The rules when they came to play. Okay. When you just said, I want to play. Okay. And we were critiquing the guys that opted out. The rules were you do not go anywhere. The rules were you order your food. It comes to your hotel and you sit there and you stay in your room. Okay. Yeah. And then that's why there was guys like King Felix that said, I'm opting out. This is boring. This is not fun for me. I do not want to live my life this way. And I'm going home with my family and be there. And it's going to be the next 4 months. I'll get ready for the next season. And that's okay. But you can't say, oh, I'm going to opt in. And then everybody's okay. We're all safe. And then you're going out and doing, whatever it is that you're going to go do. So that's not respecting not only major league rules, but not respecting your GM, not respecting your manager, and not respecting your teammates. Because there's guys on that team that are like,
your staff as well. I mean, it's not only
you're not respecting everyone around you. So
yes,
I really hope that they have a conversation with them and said, moving forward, if this happens, this cannot be a thing. And also the players, they know, if you could be in your room and you might catch it because the person that brought you your food, that's not impossible to think of. But if you were out, they're always going to say, oh, it's because you were out. So you're giving them more ammunition. So if I'm a general manager and I find out that players are going out, that they're going out to eat, that they're doing all these things, number one, I'm scolding the manager. And number two, I'm having a conversation with this player. Because now when we're talking about it, we haven't mentioned one player's name, but we're talking about the Marlins, and everyone's about the Marlins organization. So you're putting the name of the organization that already everyone thinks is run like a circus already even lower. So that's why I think that I really understand why the brand of the teams are up, you're representing it. So you better, clean it up, because you're going to test positive. There's guys going to be testing positive, but going out plus testing positive, plus you had like 15 games suspended because of you or postponed, it's not a good look for the franchise.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's and when I say disrespect for staff as well, is that you're affecting people's jobs. I mean, if you have to cancel the season because you guys want to go out and do whatever it is, like Ozzie said, whether it was to go to a club, whether it is to go out to eat, whatever it is, you have to think of the responsibility that you guys hold as an entire team. Literally, every team's responsibility is the league, is the season. That's your responsibility, is to have it continue throughout the rest of these games that are left. So if you're putting not only your life, somebody else's life on the line, their livelihood, and now the season, it's disrespectful. I think, in my point of view, if the league wanted to come down with 8-day suspension for Joe Kelly, I think there should be some suspensions handed down for players if proven to be true that chose to go to a club.
You're completely right. The other part is you're completely right, because you're putting people's life right now. The Marlins are the most hated team in Milwaukee, because if that wouldn't have happened in Miami, I don't think Lorenzo Cain opts out.
Hold on. You're talking the Cardinals are in Milwaukee.
Well, I'm saying though the Marlins, the Cardinals, I'm saying that this whole there's been a landslide. Okay, there's been like this one team goes down, another team goes down, and now players are Players are like, whoa, I'm going to play against those guys. I'm out. Right. So now you have teams that are like being affected, and fan bases that are like, wait, but Lorenzo Cain's our best player, and it's like, well, if you look of whose fault it is that this whole game's were canceled, then guys start freaking out. There's nothing more real, I think, to a baseball player than them telling you, okay, knowing how obsessed Major League Baseball is with making games up, making teams sit in for 8-hour rain delays, and for you get a phone call and saying, hey, tonight's game is postponed because we're scared that some guys tested positive for COVID on the other team. Okay, that to players is like, oh my God, what is happening? Like a really big wake-up call. So I don't blame these guys that are like, wait a minute, we've had more than one game suspended. This is like really, really bad. I'm out. So I think that that's the part that they need to take in consideration of how to handle it. They should have never played that Sunday game. If they had 1-2 positive tests, they should have stopped it. I think Major League Baseball is going to get better, but I think it's responsibility of the team. And we're going to remember the teams that were really good with COVID, and they did a really good job with the protocols, and the teams that did it. And I'm going to be honest with you, if they keep doing that, be like, hey, Marlins, you guys are not getting paid and you're out of the tournament.
See, that's the thing. You hit a guy in the pocketbook, and that's when they'll all start to listen. I think that goes with humans in general. But let's talk about the Cardinals, because they are currently in Milwaukee. They're all quarantined in a hotel. I'm assuming it's probably
a casino. Is it a casino hotel? Is it a casino hotel?
There is no. So some major league teams stay at the Pfister in Milwaukee, which is where I stayed when I traveled with the teams, and they do say it's haunted. So maybe the ghosts have like cursed them with some COVID, because there are more positive test results that were found on the Cardinals team, but. What's interesting is that these guys have been quarantined at this hotel. So like, the question of like, how do you warm up when you're quarantined? Whereas the Milwaukee Brewers are able to go through their full warm-ups. They're in Milwaukee. They were supposed to play a 3-game set over the weekend versus Milwaukee. They were quarantined to their rooms because new positive tests were found. What I thought was interesting was 3 tests were deemed, this is unheard of as of yet, inconclusive. Have we heard of results been inconclusive? So as of yesterday, 3 members of the Cardinals, their test results were deemed inconclusive. They are undergoing more rigorous testing today on Monday, August 3rd, but their games have been postponed indefinitely. And at this point, what do you do if you're a member of the Cardinals? What do you do?
Well, according to the Major League Baseball sent out a release, Brewers and Cardinals will play a doubleheader this week. So that's how they're going to look to make up the games.
But as a player, though, if I'm a player, okay, and they tell me, hey, you don't have it, okay? I'm like, okay, I don't have it. And they come in and say, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. You do have it. I'm going to sit in my room and say, okay, when did I get it? Who have I been around? I've been around my kids, my family. It's going to be in my head. And then they come back and say, well, we don't know. It's inconclusive. You want to talk about getting in a guy's head? Start telling them that the tests are positive, not positive. Because, again, I think that the human brain, it just messes with you. And I think that this is already an added stress. So if I'm trying to perform and you're telling me that you don't know if I have it or don't have it, I think that's why some players have decided, to have people stay away. This is why Mike Trout, congratulations to the Trout family, Beckham Trout being born.
Yeah.
I hope that he comes back. I know that feeling as a parent when you have your kid in your arms
and you don't want to let go.
He's financially really set. And his team's not doing very good, so I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. And he's got the baby in his hands, and he's like, do I really want to go a month and a half, 2 months without seeing this kid?
Yeah.
And taking a risk of being – that's a reality right now, okay? And I know that they're expecting him, but it is a reality because you're at home and you're watching ESPN and you're texting your teammate friends, and you're like, what's going on in St. Louis? Because I know he knows somebody there. Oh, they don't know if I'm positive or not. So this is the inner workings of baseball that – worries players, and this is why we see random guys opt out, like Lorenzo Cain out of the blue. I'm going home.
Yeah. And I don't blame them at all.
I don't blame it at all either, because again, you're telling me you're not keeping me safe though. You're telling your job. These guys see Major League Baseball and their teams as the adult in the room of you're going to keep us responsible. When they don't see the adults in the room being responsible and keeping them safe, they're like, I'm out. Like, I don't need this. I don't need this aggravation. And I know and some guys, they can financially step away and it's okay. And they're young enough and they say, you know what, we'll try this again next season. Again, everyone's situation is different, but from a fan standpoint, I get both sides, but I also get it as someone that I was like, you know what, is this even worth it? Being locked up in a room for 4 or 5 days, not even knowing if I have this thing. I want to be home with my family. I get both sides.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just want to read a quick comment from Rigi Franco, who says they should be suspended without pay for irresponsible and disrespectful, and it shouldn't be acceptable, period. For irresponsible and disrespectful behavior, I'm sure is what he means by that. But I mean, yeah. And Ozzie, to your point, those guys did not sign up for it like this, but I think it's got to go when in Rome at this point. But unfortunately, with stands not being in the fans and COVID-19 being what it is, and MLB still moving forward with the 2020 season, that means that some guys are making their major league debut in an empty stadium. And unfortunately, their parents and their loved ones who have helped them get to this point in their journey thus far could not be there to enjoy and just bask in the sunshine of their major league debut. So here is a video we have of some young guys getting their call to the bigs.
Mariners threaten here in the first. High fly ball, right field. That baby's leaving the ballpark. Jose Marmoleos, his first big league homer. It's a big one, a 3-run shot. And the Mariners have an early lead in Anaheim. Oh, he got all of that one. And hi there, Scott. What'd you think?
William Contreras is the batter. In the air toward right center field. Marisnik on his horse, still going, won't get it. It's down, it's up against the wall. Camargo will score, and Contreras with a double.
Will be there, and I'm sure. 2-2 coming to Jimenez, and he lines one the other way. Andres Jimenez has his first big league hit. Benintendi cuts it off, and Jimenez going to left center field picks up that initial knock. And they'll take that.
Wow, that's a whole, you know what? Getting your first big league hit is amazing with or without fans. I think the most excited people in every big league debut is the players because they've been there. They know how much pressure you have. It's unfortunate, that, their loved ones are there. But you know what? People don't realize this. That's a reality, especially for a lot of Latino players, especially a lot of Cuban players. Your family's not there. Your family's not there for your debut. I know my grandparents weren't there for my dad's debut. My mom was in a hotel because it was too cold. But you're lucky if you have a loved one there for your debut. I know Juan Uribe, for example, his mom, first time she ever saw him play was like in the World Series. You know, the guy had been playing the league now for like 7 years. So having someone there, I think, brought up a conversation of like, oh, their parents. I'm like, yeah, but there's Latino players whose parents are not there for paper reasons, any of those reasons. So I think it's nice. I think for them, it's going to be kind of like a double debut. I think that your debut with no fans is completely different than your debut with fans. So they'll get a dose, but they're happy. One of the positives out of this COVID situation, okay, it's that we've seen a lot of younger players come up sooner, and Major League Baseball not forcing them to stay in the minor leagues because they just wanted to keep them in the minor leagues. I think a lot of teams are bringing guys up because they need them on the situations with rosters. So I'm really excited about that because, again, I think that when you make your big league debut, it's not going to say big league debut the COVID season. It says just Major League Baseball debut on this date. So congratulations to those guys.
Yeah, and there we saw Camargo, we saw Marmolejos with the Mariners. So I mean, yeah, shout out to them and Ozzie. Yeah, like you said, a lot of this is what the Latino players are used to. They're used to not having their family members in the stands for various reasons. And I feel like this season is almost a highlight of what Latino players and Latino journalists have been going through on a regular basis. We talked about the broadcasters, Latino broadcasters broadcasting games from empty stadiums on the regular before COVID. So now everybody else gets to experience what the Latinos experience.
And with that, we are going to end our show. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Jen and Ozzie, always a pleasure with you.
Have we found Cespedes? Did they find him?
Oh, Cespedes, yeah.
No, I'm saying I just want to know if they found him.
Yes, they did.
Yes. Did we? You know what? I think we skipped over that topic.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Just let me, as long as he's with Mr. Met. I just want to know. I know that you're Mets fans.
You know what? There was a lot I wanted to talk about that. Let me just put this out there because this is what struck me. Obviously, if you're, unless you've been living under a rock, you understand what happened with Cespedes. He didn't show up for the game. And when they went to go search his room, they weren't sure if he was okay. They went to go search his room. He had packed up all his belongings. He had left through his agent. He then told the GM of the Mets that he is done. He's opting out. He's finished. He's ending his relationship with the Mets, which is so interesting to me. And then there's many levels here. How do you think this will affect his legacy? I mean, he was one of the ones responsible for getting the Mets to the World Series. He had a behemoth contract, which at the time made sense. How do you think people will look back on Cespedes and his time in Queens?
I think that Yoenis has kind of he's hurt his own legacy in many ways, and I know we can't ever 100% confirm things, but you hear things from the various teams that he's played through in his career, from when he got here and now to the Mets. There may be something there to your personality and the way that you are, the way that you carry yourself, if you've been on so many teams in a short amount of time. And I mean, I personally believe that. And I mean, we saw at the beginning of the season, right? I mean, before COVID had hit, we had heard that he wasn't going to give interviews. He wasn't talking to the media because he was probably afraid to talk about the hog or whatever. And so that was an issue. And so now for this to happen the way that it happened, for him not to show up, and then for the Mets to put out the statement, we can't find him. I think that was more on the side of we're pissed and it's disrespectful that you don't even call us. I think they knew that he was okay. But I think they did that maybe a little bit. And that's, in my opinion, I think they did that a little bit to shame him.
Oh, 100%, Jen, because you and I both know, especially having worked with the Mets and any major league team for that reason, they would have kept that in-house.
Yeah.
Who's the GM, though? Who's the
Brody
GM?
Okay,
who was his agent?
And that whole deal.
Okay, so Brody's like, man, I paid you. Okay, I got you paid.
Yes.
We're supposed to be boys. Okay, there's a couple things here that I think are very, very sad because I really do think that this young guy, I saw him when he was here for his tryout when they were trying to sign him before the Oakland Athletics signed him, and he is probably one of the top 5 guys I've seen talent-wise. This guy is that good. He is Luis Robert. Okay. So for the Luis Robert fans, that you can start going crazy and end up being Cespedes because of injuries, actions, whatever. So it's not a guarantee what's going to happen in your career. So great player, injuries aside, okay, because injuries have kept him off the field, there's always been that cloud of what does Cespedes bring to a clubhouse, to a team? It's never been a positive one, okay? I think Yasiel Puig gets affected by the Cespedes cloud of we're scared of signing Puig because he shows us all the Cespedes, clout, like the way that they are, the rumors, like, do we give him this big contract? So you're affecting players that are in that world. The other part is that you're affecting is your manager's Latino, bro. Okay?
Yeah.
The guy that was there is Latino. He's making the lineups. If you're going to leave on the right terms. Don't make it seem that it was because he was making the wrong moves of playing. There's just so many parts there, and I think it affects him because I really think this guy is a big league talent. So now by him leaving the way that he did, all the general managers, all of them are going to say, I'm not signing you on principle. So I think it's unfortunate because it puts like a black eye on the Latino side of baseball. And if it was a communication thing, talk to your manager, say, hey, I'm not happy, talk it out. Is it that you wanted a DH, that you wanted to play left field? Just have the communication. Again, in a very Mets fashion, it was played out in the tabloids. But again, this is something that's been looming for a long time. But it's just unfortunate because with the DH being added to the National League, okay, I thought he could have stayed with the Mets next year and signed a very small contract and been like, hey, I'm going to play for you guys for nothing because I've been paid for 3 years, and he would have fit perfectly in the lineup. But now his legacy is not going to be of one of the top talented players. It's going to be like the guy who got hit by a hog, the guy who left in the middle of the night and said that I'm
does this remind you a little bit of Sammy Sosa? Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, with a lot of less home runs, but yes. But yeah, it's just unfortunate because he's never going to be able to say his side of the story. The Mets are always going to look like the team that's hurt because, you left this way, and his legacy is going to be hurt because now any team that signs him is going to be like a long shot. And people are going to bring him up in meetings. Hey, we need a DH.
I think he'll regret it. I think a couple of days from now, because you always have certain emotions, and you make decisions in the heat of the moment. And I personally think that he's going to regret it a couple of days from now. He's going to be like,
he's healthy. No, he's healthy.
Yes,
that's the part. If you're unhealthy, okay, and you can't play because you're hurt, when you walk away from the game, you know that your body couldn't do it anymore, and that's okay. But when you walk away from the game, okay, and you know that you were healthy, and you know that you could have played, and you see guys on the field, and I know he feels that. He's more talented than the whole Orioles roster, okay, right now. And he is. When he is healthy, he is a threat. It's going to hurt him, and it's unfortunate to see it end this way. I hope that a team gives him a minor league deal, and I hope that he takes it, and then he makes a comeback, and he plays the 3-4 years that are there for him. But it's just unfortunate because an all-around crazy story. And again, I thought I didn't like it because obviously I really like him because he's a Latino player. I thought it was funny because it was the Mets, and I was like, oh, so Mets. But it was just unfortunate because I thought that he really was going to help Alu, Rojas, and the Mets. I really thought that he was fit perfectly in that roster. So, unfortunate. And perfect timing too, COVID-19. Till right now, the only guy that's used COVID-19, I think, is an excuse to say I'm out.
I mean, 2020, it just keep getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah, I love it. I think it would be funny if the Mets signed Puig now.
Listen.
It's like, hey, he didn't work out for us. Let's sign his little let's sign his little mini me.
Oh gosh. Oh man. Well, we will wait to see what happens. We'll keep you informed. Be sure to tune back in on Wednesday for more La Vida Baseball Live. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye.